Admiral Han Wu stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Command flagship Indomitable. The massive ship floated in the dark space near Jupiter. Han Wu was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had commanded Earth's largest warship for 5 years. Today felt different. Today felt wrong. "Admiral, we're getting an emergency transmission," said Park Mina. She was the ship's tactical officer. Park Mina was young but very smart. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panels. "It's coming from the Galactic Council. They're broadcasting to all known civilizations." Han Wu frowned. The Galactic Council rarely spoke to Earth directly. They thought humans were too young and too primitive to matter. Earth had been trying to join the Council for 20 years. The aliens always said no. "Put it on the main screen," Han Wu ordered. The bridge went quiet. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life. What they saw made everyone freeze in horror. The screen showed a massive alien structure floating in space. It looked like a giant metal flower with sharp petals. This was the Council's execution platform. Han Wu had heard stories about it but never seen it before. On the platform stood thousands of humans, men, women, children, old people. They were all wearing simple clothes. Many were crying. Some held each other. Han Wu could see families staying close together. A loud alien voice spoke in perfect English. The voice belonged to Chancellor Vextar. He was the leader of the Galactic Council. His species looked like tall lizards with blue skin and 4 arms. "People of the galaxy," Vextar said, "today you will witness justice. These humans broke our laws. They built colonies where they should not build. They ignored our warnings. They refused to leave when we told them to leave." Han Wu felt his heart beating faster. These were colonists. From New Busan. New Busan was a farming world that Earth had settled 15 years ago. The planet grew food for other human colonies. 50,000 people lived there. They were peaceful farmers and teachers and shopkeepers. "The penalty for ignoring the Council is death," Vextar continued. "Let this be a lesson to all young species. The galaxy has rules. We enforce these rules." Park Mina gasped. "Admiral, I'm getting readings. They're powering up some kind of weapon." On the screen, the humans on the platform seemed to understand what was coming. Some screamed, others prayed. Parents held their children tight. An old man was trying to comfort a young girl who was crying. Han Wu watched in growing horror as alien soldiers activated the execution device. It was a molecular disintegrator. The weapon would tear apart every atom in a person's body. It was supposed to be painless, but it looked terrible. "Please," a human woman on the platform shouted toward the cameras. "We have children here. We never hurt anyone. We just wanted to grow food and live in peace." Chancellor Vexatar showed no emotion. "Begin the execution." The first group of humans simply disappeared. One moment they were there, the next moment they were gone. No bodies, no blood, just empty space. The weapon made no sound, but somehow that made it worse. The remaining humans panicked. They ran, but had nowhere to go. The platform was surrounded by force fields. Some people fell to their knees and begged. Others stood straight and tried to face death with dignity. Park Mina was crying now. Many of the bridge crew were crying. Han Wu felt sick to his stomach, but he forced himself to keep watching. Someone had to witness this. Someone had to remember. The executions continued for 2 hours. Group after group of humans disappeared. The aliens showed no mercy for children or old people. They killed everyone the same way. The cameras showed every moment. The Council wanted the galaxy to see human weakness and fear. Near the end, Han Wu saw a face he recognized. It was a young woman named Kim Sua. She had been a teacher on New Busan. Han Wu knew her brother Kim Jae. He was Earth's best military engineer. Kim Jae would be watching this broadcast too. Kim Sua held 3 small children in her arms. They were her students. She was singing to them softly, trying to keep them calm. When the weapon fired, all 4 disappeared together. Finally, it was over. 50,000 humans were dead. The execution platform was empty except for the alien soldiers. Chancellor Vextar faced the cameras again. This is what happens to those who defy the Galactic Council. Humans, you will remove your colonies from 12 more worlds within 1 year. If you refuse, we will execute 1 million humans instead of 50,000. The transmission ended. The bridge of the Indomitable was silent, except for quiet crying. Han Wu's communication officer looked up with tears in his eyes. Admiral, President Lee Yuna wants to speak with you immediately. It's an emergency channel. The screen changed to show President Lee Yuna in her office on Earth. She was a strong woman in her 50s. She had led Earth for 8 years through many difficult times. Today she looked older than her years. Admiral Han Wu, she said. Did you see the broadcast? Yes, Madam President. All of it. President Lee Yuna closed her eyes for a moment. Those monsters killed 50,000 innocent people and broadcast it to the galaxy like it was entertainment. What are your orders, Madam President? Get the fleet ready, Admiral. All of it. Every ship we have. I'm calling an emergency session of the Earth Assembly. But I think I know what they'll decide. Han Wu nodded. And if the Assembly votes for war? President Lee Yuna's eyes became hard as steel. Then the Galactic Council will learn why you should never corner a human. They think we're weak because we're young. They think we'll just accept this and do what they say. She paused and looked directly at Han Wu. They're wrong. Dead wrong. After the call ended, Han Wu stood alone on his bridge. Around him, his officers were already working. They were calling other ships, checking weapons, preparing for what might come. Park Mina approached him. Admiral, what do you think will happen? Han Wu looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the aliens who had murdered 50,000 humans thought they were safe. They thought they had taught humanity a lesson. I think, Han Wu said slowly, that the Galactic Council just made the biggest mistake in their history. They wanted to show the galaxy what happens when you defy them. Instead, they're about to learn what happens when you murder human children on live television. He turned to his crew. All hands, prepare for war, and send a message to every human colony, every human ship, every human settlement in space. Tell them what happened today. Tell them that 50,000 of our people were murdered for the crime of growing food on an empty planet. Park Mina nodded. What else should the message say, sir? Han Wu's voice became very quiet and very cold. Tell them that we will have justice. No matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs, the Galactic Council will pay for what they did today. The Indomitable began to turn toward Earth. Soon, the largest human fleet in history would gather. The aliens had wanted to send a message to humanity. They had. Just not the message they intended. President Lee Yuna walked into the Earth Assembly building in Geneva. The building was buzzing with activity. Representatives from every nation and colony had come for this emergency meeting. Everyone had seen the horrible broadcast. Everyone was angry. Lee Yuna had barely slept in the 3 days since the executions. She kept seeing the faces of those innocent people who died. children holding their teachers, families staying together until the end. The images would not leave her mind. The assembly hall was packed. 200 representatives sat in curved rows facing the speaking platform. Usually these meetings were calm and organized. Today, people were shouting and arguing before the meeting even started. General Choi Dae sat in the front row with the other military leaders. His face was like stone, but his hands were shaking. His daughter Choi Min had been on New Busan. She taught at the primary school there. General Choi Dae had watched his own child die on that broadcast. Lee Yuna stepped up to the speaking platform. The room slowly became quiet. "Representatives of Earth and all human colonies," she began. "3 days ago, we witnessed the murder of 50,000 innocent people. These were our people, our families, our children." Her voice grew stronger. "The Galactic Council did not just kill them. They made it into a show. They wanted us to be afraid. They wanted us to know that they can kill any of us whenever they want." A representative from Mars Colony stood up. "Madam President, what is the Council demanding now?" "They want us to abandon 12 more colony worlds within 1 year. If we refuse, they promise to kill 1 million humans next time." The room exploded in angry voices. Some representatives shouted for immediate war. Others talked about negotiation and compromise. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Lee Yuna called for order. "I propose we try diplomacy first. We will send our best ambassador to the Galactic Council with our demands. If they refuse, then we decide what comes next." The vote was close, but diplomacy won. Most representatives wanted to give peace one chance before starting a war that could destroy humanity. Ambassador Kang Hyun was chosen for the mission. He was Earth's most experienced diplomat. He had dealt with alien species for 15 years. If anyone could make the Council listen, it was him. 5 days later, Kang Hyun arrived at the Galactic Council's main station. The station was huge, bigger than Earth's moon. Millions of aliens from hundreds of different species lived and worked there. Kang Hyun had prepared carefully for this meeting. He carried formal documents demanding 3 things. First, the Council must surrender everyone responsible for the New Busan massacre to Earth for trial. Second, they must pay compensation to the families of the dead. Third, they must formally apologize to all humanity. The Council meeting hall was designed to make visitors feel small and unimportant. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in floating platforms. High above the floor, Chancellor Vexatar looked down at Kang Hyun like he was looking at an insect. The tall, lizard-like alien had 4 arms and cold yellow eyes. Next to him sat other council leaders from different species. "Human ambassador," Vexatar said, "you may speak." Kang Hyun read Earth's demands clearly and calmly. He explained that humanity wanted justice, not war. He said that Earth was willing to negotiate about the disputed colonies if the Council would show good faith. When he finished, the Council chamber was silent for several minutes. Then Chancellor Vexatar began to laugh. It was a harsh, cruel sound that echoed through the huge room. "You demand that we surrender our people to you for trial," Vexatar said. "You want us to pay you money? You want us to apologize to you?" He leaned forward on his floating platform. "Human, do you understand what you are? You are children playing with toys in a galaxy run by adults. Your species learned to leave your home planet less than 200 years ago. We have been building, civilizations for millions of years. Other council members joined in the laughter. Kang Hyun stood quietly and waited for them to finish. The execution on New Busan was not a crime, Vextar continued. It was justice. Your people were warned to leave that world. They chose to stay. They chose to die. He gestured with two of his four arms. But we are not completely unreasonable. We will give humanity a gift. We will reduce our demands from 12 colony worlds to only 10. You have 6 months instead of 12 to evacuate. Them! Kang Hyun felt his heart sink, but he kept his face calm. And if Earth refuses these terms? Then instead of executing 1 million humans, we will execute 10 million. And we will broadcast that execution too, so the whole galaxy can watch your species learn proper respect. The ambassador tried one more time. Chancellor Vextar, surely we can find a peaceful solution. Humanity has much to offer the galaxy. We are good at farming, at building, at solving problems. We could work together. Vextar's eyes became cold and angry. Work together? With primitives who cannot even control their own violent instincts? Humans are useful only as an example to other young species. You will serve that purpose whether you want to or not. The meeting was over. Kang Hyun was escorted back to his ship by alien guards. As he left the station, he activated a secure communication link to Earth. President Lee Yuna's face appeared on his screen. Behind her stood General Choi Dae and Admiral Han Woo. Madam President, Kang Hyun said, they refused our demands completely. Worse than that, they increased their own demands. They want 10 colony worlds evacuated in 6 months. Lee Yuna closed her eyes. What was your impression of their attitude? Ambassador? They see us as insects, Madam President, not as people, not even as a real threat. They think we'll do whatever they say because we're afraid of them. General Choi Dae stepped forward. His face was full of rage. Madam President, my daughter is dead. 50,000 people are dead. These aliens think they can threaten to kill 10 million more. I request permission to mobilize every military unit we have. Lee Yuna looked at Admiral Han Woo. Admiral, what is the status of our fleet? All ships are ready, Madam President. We've been preparing since the broadcast. If you give the order, we can launch operations within 24 hours. Lee Yuna was quiet for a long moment. She thought about the children who died on New Busan. She thought about the families torn apart. She thought about Chancellor Vextar's cold laughter. Ambassador Kang Hyun, you did your best. Come home safely. She turned to the two military commanders. Gentlemen, I'm calling another assembly session, but I think we all know how this vote will go. 6 hours later, the Earth Assembly voted for war. The vote was not even close. Every single representative voted yes. Even the ones who had argued for peace 3 days earlier now wanted justice. That night, Lee Yuna stood on the balcony of her office. She looked up at the stars and thought about what was coming. Dr. Nam Soo, Earth's leading expert on alien species, joined her on the balcony. Madam President, he said, I've been studying the Council species for years. I need to tell you something important. What is it, Doctor? The Council has done this before, many times. They find young species that are getting too strong or too independent. They massacre some of them as an example. The survivors usually submit and become servants. Lee Yuna nodded. But humans are different? Dr. Nam Soo smiled for the first time in days. Very different. Most species fight just to survive. Humans fight for justice. Most species give up when the odds are against them. Humans fight harder when things look hopeless. He looked up at the stars. The Galactic Council thinks they know how this war will end. They think we'll fight for a while, lose some battles, then surrender and beg for mercy. And what do you think will happen, Doctor? I think they just declared war on the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They just don't know it yet. Captain Yun Bin stood in the command center of his stealth frigate Ghost Tiger. The ship was small compared to the big warships, but it was perfect for secret missions. Ghost Tiger could become invisible to alien sensors using technology that humans had developed in secret. Yun Bin was 35 years old and had been fighting space pirates for 10 years. He was short and thin, but his crew trusted him completely. They knew he could get them into impossible situations and get them out alive. "Captain," said his sensor operator, "we're approaching the target. It's a council supply depot, just like intelligence said." Through the ship's cameras, Yun Bin could see the alien station. It was built into a large asteroid and supplied fuel and weapons to council patrol fleets. Destroying it would hurt the aliens' ability to hunt human ships. "Remember the plan," Yun Bin told his crew of 12 people. "We get in, plant the charges, and get out. No heroics, no unnecessary risks. We're not trying to win the war today. Just make it harder for them to fight it." The Ghost Tiger moved closer to the station. Human stealth technology was different from anything aliens used. Most species tried to hide by absorbing energy or deflecting sensors. Humans had learned to make their ships look like empty space, like nothing was there at all. The station's defense systems never detected them. Alien. Guards walked past the Ghost Tiger without knowing it was there. Yun Bin smiled. This was why humans would win this war. They thought differently than aliens did. While Yun Bin attacked the supply depot, Kim Jae worked in his laboratory on Earth. Kim Jae was the best military engineer humanity had ever produced. He was also angry. His sister, Kim Sua, had died in the New Busan massacre. Now he worked 18 hours a day building weapons to fight the aliens who killed her. Kim Jae's latest project was called the Fury Drive. Normal space engines were designed to be safe and comfortable. They limited how fast a ship could accelerate so the crew would not be hurt by the force. The Fury Drive had no safety limits. It could push a ship so hard and so fast that the acceleration would kill most alien species. But humans were tougher than most aliens. Human pilots could survive forces that would crush a council warrior. "Run the test again," Kim Jae told his assistant. They had been testing the drive for 3 days straight. Each test made the system faster and more powerful. The test ship shot forward like a bullet. The acceleration was so strong it would have turned an alien into paste. But the human pilot stayed conscious and in control. "It works," Kim Jae said with satisfaction. "Now we need to install these on every ship in the fleet." Meanwhile, Admiral Han Woo was learning about human advantages he had never thought about before. He met with Dr. Park So-young, Earth's expert on alien psychology. "Admiral," Dr. Park So-young explained, "most alien species fight wars the way they do everything else. They follow rules. They use approved tactics. They try to minimize their losses." Han Woo nodded. "And humans? Humans fight to win. We adapt. We change tactics when the old ones don't work. We take risks that other species think are crazy." She showed him reports from intelligence agents throughout the galaxy. The council species are physically weaker than humans in almost every way. They're slower, less flexible, and they tire more easily. Their technology is better, but they depend on it too much. "What do you mean?" "If an alien's energy shield fails, he panics. If a human's armor gets damaged, he keeps fighting. Aliens fight with their machines. Humans fight with their minds and their will." Dr. Park So-young brought up tactical displays showing different alien species. The worst thing for them is that they don't understand human psychology. They think the New Busan massacre would make us afraid. Instead, it made us angry. Angry. Humans are much more dangerous than afraid humans. Back on the Ghost Tiger, Captain Yoon Bin was proving that point. His ship had successfully planted explosive charges throughout the supply depot. But as they prepared to leave, alien patrol ships appeared. "Captain, we've got company," his sensor operator reported. 3 council frigates coming in fast. Most captains would try to run. The smart move was to escape while their stealth system was still working. But Yoon Bin saw an opportunity. "All stop," he ordered. "Hold position." His crew looked at him like he was crazy, but they followed orders. The Ghost Tiger stopped moving and became completely invisible again. The alien patrol ships swept the area, looking for whoever had attacked their supply depot. They flew right past the Ghost Tiger without seeing it. "Now," Yoon Bin whispered. The Ghost Tiger fired all its weapons at once. The aliens had not expected an attack from something they could not see. The first alien ship exploded before its crew knew they were under attack. The second ship tried to turn and fight, but Yoon Bin was already moving. The Ghost Tiger used its new Fury drive system to accelerate harder than any alien ship could match. It flew in a pattern that would have killed an alien pilot, but Yoon Bin stayed conscious and in control. The second alien ship fired energy weapons at empty space, trying to hit a target it could not see. The Ghost Tiger attacked from a different angle and destroyed it. The third alien ship tried to run. Its captain sent a distress signal to other council forces. But the Ghost Tiger was faster now with its Fury drive. Yoon Bin caught up to the fleeing ship and destroyed it too. 3 enemy ships destroyed, Yoon Bin reported to Admiral Han Woo. "No human casualties. The supply depot will be destroyed. In 30 minutes when our charges explode," Admiral Han Woo smiled as he received the report. Around him, his staff officers were getting similar messages from human ships throughout the galaxy. Small attacks, perfect successes, no losses. "They're learning that we don't fight like other species," Admiral Han Woo told his tactical officer, Park Mina. "We don't follow their rules. We don't fight the way they expect." Park Mina was studying reports from all the human attacks. "Admiral, look at this pattern. Every single human operation has succeeded. Not one failure. Not one ship lost." "Why do you think that is?" "Because we're fighting smart. We're not trying to win big battles yet. We're making them afraid. Every time they send a patrol ship, it disappears. Every time they send supplies, the convoy gets attacked. They're starting to fear empty space because they never know where we might be hiding." Admiral Han Woo activated the communication system to speak to all human ship commanders. "All units, this is Admiral Han Woo. You have all performed perfectly. The enemy is confused and frightened. They expected us to fight like other species, direct attacks against their main forces." He paused, thinking about the 50,000 people who died at New Busan. "Instead, we're showing them what happens when you anger humans. We strike from the shadows. We hit them when they don't expect it. We make them afraid to leave their home systems." Park Mina brought up a tactical display showing council ship movements. "Admiral, look at this. They're pulling their patrol fleets back to defensive positions. They're afraid to send ships into human space." "Good," Admiral Han Woo said. "Fear is the beginning of defeat. They thought they were hunting sheep. Now they're learning that they declared war on wolves." General Choi Dae was having similar success with ground operations. His Marine units had landed on 3 different council worlds and destroyed military bases without losing a single soldier. The key was that humans fought differently on the ground, too. Alien soldiers were trained to fight in formation with energy, shields, and plasma weapons. Human Marines used stealth, explosives, and tactics that confused the aliens completely. "Sir," reported one of his officers, "the aliens don't know how to fight an enemy that hides and strikes from cover. Their training assumes they'll face other aliens in direct combat." General Choi Dae thought about his daughter, killed on New Busan for the crime of teaching children to read. "Then we'll teach them about human warfare, lesson by lesson, battle by battle." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council was beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. The primitive humans they thought they could easily crush were proving to be unlike any enemy they had ever faced. Chancellor Vextar called an emergency meeting of the Council's war leaders. "How are these humans destroying our ships? Our technology is superior to theirs." General Mordak, the Council's top military commander, had no good answers. "They don't fight like civilized species. They hide and attack from ambush. They use primitive kinetic weapons instead of energy weapons. They take risks that should kill them." "Then adapt our tactics," Vextar ordered. "We're trying, Chancellor, but every time we change our approach, they change theirs faster. It's like they can think ahead of us." What General Mordak did not understand was that humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They had learned every possible way to win battles and wars. Now they were using all that knowledge against enemies who had only fought weaker species. The real war was just beginning. Chancellor Vextar stood in his private chamber aboard the massive Council war station. The station was the size of a small moon and carried enough firepower to destroy entire planets. Around him, holographic displays showed reports from across the galaxy. The reports were all bad news. "Chancellor," said General Mordak, "we've lost contact with another supply convoy. That's the 15th one this month. The humans are attacking our ships faster than we can replace them." Vextar's arms moved in anger. His yellow eyes glowed brighter. The tall lizard-like alien had ruled the Galactic Council for 50 years. In all that time, no species had dared to fight back like this. "How is this possible?" Vextar demanded. "Humans have only been in space for 200 years. We have been building starships for millions of years. Their technology is primitive compared to ours." War leader Zokmar stepped forward. He was from a different alien species that looked like a giant insect with metal armor. "Chancellor, the problem is not their technology. It's how they use it. They fight in ways we never expected." "Explain." "Normal species fight honorably. They announce their attacks. They follow the rules of war. They try to minimize casualties. Humans do none of these things." General Mordak activated a tactical display. "Look at this attack pattern. A human ship destroyed 3 of our frigates yesterday. It stayed invisible until the last moment, then attacked all 3 at once from different angles. The maneuvers it used should have killed the human pilot from the acceleration forces. But the pilot survived? Not only survived, but remained in perfect control of his ship. We think humans can handle physical stresses that would kill most of our species." Vextar studied the battle reports with growing concern. Every human attack was perfect. Every council response failed. It was like fighting ghosts that could strike anywhere and disappear instantly. "I don't care how tough they are," Vextar said. "They're still just one species. We have the combined fleets of 200 species. We'll crush them with overwhelming numbers." War leader Zokmar looked uncomfortable. "Chancellor, there's another problem. Some of the older council species are asking questions about the New Busan massacre. They think we may have been too harsh." Vextar's eyes became dangerous. Are they questioning my authority? Not directly. But they're concerned about human retaliation. The humans have been very careful to only attack military targets. They haven't harmed any civilians. Some council members think this shows they're more civilized than we assumed. Civilized? Vexitar laughed. They're primitives who need to be taught their place. Assemble the punishment fleet. We'll end this war by destroying Earth itself. General. Mordak hesitated. Chancellor, Earth has defensive systems. It won't be an easy target. It doesn't matter. Once Earth is destroyed, the surviving human colonies will surrender. Then we can use them as slave labor like we planned. While the Council planned their attack on Earth, Dr. Park So-young was working in her laboratory on Luna Base near Earth's moon. She was Earth's top expert on quantum communications, and she had just intercepted something very important. Admiral Han Wu, she said over the secure communication link. I've broken the Council's communication codes. They're planning to attack Earth with their entire main fleet. Admiral Han Wu's face appeared on her screen. He looked tired, but determined. How long do we have, Doctor? 2 weeks, maybe 3. They're calling it the Punishment Fleet. It includes over 500 warships from dozens of different species. 500 ships? Admiral Han Wu was quiet for a moment. We have about 80 ships total, and most of them are smaller than their warships. There's more, Admiral. They plan to completely destroy Earth's surface and relocate any survivors to labor camps. They want to make an example that will keep other species from rebelling. Admiral Han Wu felt cold anger growing in his chest. They're planning genocide. Yes, sir. Complete genocide of the human species. After Dr. Park So-young ended the call, Admiral Han Wu immediately contacted President Lee Yuna and the other military commanders. The news spread quickly throughout the human colonies and settlements. The alien plan to destroy Earth had an unexpected result. It united every human faction that had ever existed. Commander Oh-sung was the leader of the Outer Rim Pirates. His people lived in the empty spaces between star systems, trading and sometimes stealing from merchant ships. They had never been loyal to Earth's government. But when Oh-sung heard about the planned attack on Earth, he called an emergency meeting of all the pirate clans. Brothers and sisters, he said to the gathered pirate captains, the aliens think they can kill every human in the galaxy. They think we'll just sit here and let them murder our families and friends. A captain named Ryu Jin stood up. Commander, my grandmother lives on Earth. My cousins go to school there. If the aliens attack Earth, they attack my family. Other captains agreed. Soon, every pirate clan in the Outer Rim had pledged their ships to Earth's defense. It was 300 more ships, small but fast and crewed by people who knew how to fight. The Martian colonies made the same decision. For 50 years, Mars had been independent from Earth. They had their own government and their own military. But the threat of genocide made them remember that they were human first. Governor Kim Tae of New Mars called President Lee Yuna directly. Madam President, Mars offers our full support. Our fleet will join yours. Our factories will build weapons for you. Our people will fight beside yours. The asteroid miners did the same thing. These were tough people who lived in space stations, built into huge rocks. They had never liked government of any kind, but they loved freedom, and they understood what would happen if the Council won this war. Mining boss Park Wool sent a message to Admiral Han Wu. Admiral, we're sending you our mining ships. They're not warships, but they're big and tough, and we know how to use explosives. Tell us where you want us, and we'll be there. President Lee Yuna watched reports coming in from across human space. Every colony, every settlement, every independent human group was volunteering to help defend Earth. People who had never agreed on anything before were united by the threat to their species. "It's remarkable," she said to General Choi Day. "The Council wanted to divide us and make us afraid. Instead, they've made us stronger and more united than we've ever been." General Choi Day nodded. "Humans are tribal, Madam President. We fight each other when times are good, but when someone threatens our tribe, we stand together. And right now, the human tribe includes everyone from Earth to the farthest colony." "Yes, ma'am." The Council made one big mistake. They threatened our children. Now every human parent in the galaxy wants to protect every other human child. Kim Jae was working harder than ever in his laboratory. The news about the punishment fleet had given him new urgency. He was designing weapons and ship improvements that could help humanity survive the coming battle. His latest creation was a new type of missile that could think for itself. Most guided weapons followed simple programs and could be confused by enemy defenses. Kim Jae's missiles used artificial intelligence to adapt and overcome any defense system. "Test 7 is ready," he told his assistant. They launched the smart missile at a target protected by the best alien defense technology they could find. The missile didn't just hit the target. It analyzed the defenses, found their weaknesses, and exploited them in ways Kim Jae hadn't even programmed. The target was completely destroyed. "Perfect," Kim Jae said. "Now we need to build 10,000 of these in the next 2 weeks. His assistant looked worried. "Sir, that's impossible. We don't have enough factories or workers." Kim Jae smiled for the first time in weeks. "Then we'll build more factories, and we'll ask for volunteers to work in them. I bet we get more volunteers than we can use." He was right. When the call went out for factory workers to build weapons, for Earth's defense, millions of people volunteered. They worked in shifts around the clock, building missiles, armor, and ship improvements. Dr. Nam Su was studying the alien species that made up the punishment fleet. Each species had different strengths and weaknesses. If humans were going to win this battle, they needed to understand their enemies. "Admiral," he reported to Han Wu, "the good news is that most of these species have never worked together in a real battle. They're used to fighting weaker enemies that surrender quickly. And the bad news? They have a lot more ships than we do, and each ship is bigger and more heavily armed than ours." Admiral Han Wu studied the intelligence reports. 500 alien warships against less than 400 human ships. The aliens had better weapons and stronger defenses. But Admiral Han Wu was beginning to understand something important about this war. It wasn't about who had better technology or more ships. It was about who wanted to win more. The aliens wanted to punish humanity for defying them. They wanted to make an example and restore their authority. Humans wanted to survive. They wanted to protect their families and their freedom. They wanted justice for the people who died at New Busan. "Park Mina," he said to his tactical officer, "begin implementing Protocol Samson." Protocol Samson was humanity's ultimate military strategy. It was based on an old Earth story about a man who destroyed his enemies by bringing down the building they were all inside, even though it killed him too. The space around Kepler Station was about to become a graveyard. Admiral Han Wu stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the massive alien fleet approach. 500 Council warships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of distant stars. They looked invincible. "Admiral," said Park Mina, "the punishment fleet will reach weapons range in 30 minutes. Should I order our ships to attack?" Han Wu shook his head. "Not yet. Let them get closer. Let them think they've already won. Around Earth, the combined human fleet waited. 400 ships of all sizes floated in space like sleeping predators. There were military warships, converted merchant vessels, pirate raiders, mining ships with welded-on weapons, and even luxury yachts carrying missile launchers. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled, but it still looked small compared to the alien armada approaching them. Chancellor Vextar watched from his flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Eternal Authority. The ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to level a city. Around it, hundreds of other council ships prepared for battle. "General Mordak," Vextar said, "how long will this battle take?" "Not long, Chancellor. The humans have put up a brave fight, but they're outnumbered more than 3 to 1. Their ships are smaller and less advanced than ours." Vextar looked at the tactical display showing both fleets. The human ships looked pitiful compared to his mighty armada. "Good. Once we destroy their fleet, we can proceed with the cleansing of Earth. The galaxy will remember this day as the end of human defiance." But something was different about this battle. The human ships weren't running away like other species usually did when faced with overwhelming odds. They held their positions, waiting. "Why aren't they retreating?" asked War Leader Zokmar. "Because they're primitives," Vextar replied. "They don't understand that retreat can be the intelligent choice. They'll fight to the death like the simple-minded animals they are." Kim J was aboard a converted factory ship called the Forge of Fury. His job was to coordinate the new weapon systems he had designed. Every human ship now carried his smart missiles and Fury drive engines. "All ships," he broadcast on the tactical channel, "remember what we practiced. Wait for my signal before activating the new drives. The aliens don't know what these engines can do yet." Captain Yoon Bin commanded a small squadron of stealth ships hidden behind Earth's moon. His Ghost Tiger and 12 other invisible vessels waited for the perfect moment to strike. "All ghost ships," he said quietly. "Maintain silence. Let them think we're part of the main fleet. When the dancing starts, we'll cut in from behind." The first shots came from the alien fleet. Hundreds of energy beams lanced across space toward the human ships. The beams were designed to pierce through normal shields and armor, but human defenses were not normal. Instead of energy shields, human ships used layered armor made from materials the aliens had never seen before. The energy beams struck the armor and scattered in all directions like water hitting rock. "What?" General Mordak stared at his tactical display. "Their shields aren't failing. How are they absorbing that much energy?" Admiral Han Wu smiled as he watched the alien weapons splash harmlessly off his ship's armor. "Park Mina? Send the signal. Phase 1 begins now." All across the human fleet, Fury drive engines came to life. The human ships suddenly accelerated far beyond what should have been possible. They moved in patterns that would have killed any alien crew from the massive gravitational forces. But human pilots stayed conscious and in control. They had trained for months to handle the extreme acceleration. Their ships danced through space, like deadly butterflies while the aliens struggled to track them. The first alien ship to die was a council cruiser that got too close to a human destroyer. The human ship used its Fury drive to approach from an impossible angle, fired a full spread of Kim J's smart missiles, and was gone before the aliens could respond. The missiles were unlike anything the Council had seen before. Each one thought for itself, adapting to the cruiser's defenses and finding weaknesses. The alien ship's shields failed and its hull cracked open like an egg. "Impossible!" Chancellor Vextar shouted. "How did that primitive ship move so fast?" More human ships, began their attacks. They came from every direction at once, using speed and maneuverability the aliens couldn't match. The careful alien formation began to break apart as ships struggled to track targets that moved like nothing they had ever fought. Captain Yoon Bin chose this moment to reveal his hidden squadron. 12 stealth ships suddenly appeared behind the alien fleet and began destroying support vessels. "Surprise!" Yoon Bin whispered as the Ghost Tiger fired into the rear of an alien supply ship. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could become invisible and strike from ambush. Their sensors showed targets appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Panic began to spread through the alien fleet. General Choi Day was commanding ground-based weapons on Earth's surface, massive railgun batteries that could fire projectiles into space at incredible speeds. "All batteries, target the big one," he ordered, pointing at Chancellor Vextar's flagship. The railguns fired solid metal rods at nearly the speed of light. The projectiles had no energy signature and couldn't be detected until they hit. 3 rods struck the Eternal Authority's hull and punched clean through it. "We're taking damage," an alien officer reported to Vextar. "The humans are firing some kind of kinetic weapon from the planet's surface." "Kinetic weapons?" Vextar couldn't believe it. "Those are primitive weapons. How are they penetrating our shields?" What he didn't understand was that human kinetic weapons were not primitive. They were incredibly advanced, using magnetic acceleration and smart targeting that made them more dangerous than energy weapons. Kim Jae watched the battle from his factory ship and made rapid calculations. The new human weapons were working, better than he had hoped. But the aliens still had more ships. "All vessels, this is Kim Jae. Begin Phase 2. Release the swarm." From cargo bays throughout the human fleet, thousands of tiny robotic fighters launched into space. Each one was no bigger than a car, but they carried powerful explosives and artificial intelligence that made them almost impossible to stop. The robot fighters swarmed around alien ships like angry insects. They were too small and too fast for the big alien weapons to target effectively, but they could attach to alien hulls and explode, creating holes in the armor. War leader Zokamar watched in horror as dozens of the tiny fighters attached themselves to his ship. "Get them off! Get them off!" The explosions came one after another, weakening his ship's structure until the hull began to crack. Zokamar's ship broke apart and exploded, taking him and his crew with it. Admiral Han Wu saw that the tide of battle was turning. The alien fleet was in chaos, with ships scattered across space and many of them damaged or destroyed. "Park Mina, signal all ships. Begin the final phase." Park Mina activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All human vessels, execute final attack pattern. Show them what happens when you threaten our children." The remaining human ships formed into small groups and began hunting the alien vessels one by one. They used their superior speed and maneuverability to surround enemy ships and attack from all sides at once. One by one, the mighty alien warships were destroyed. Their advanced technology couldn't save them from human tactics they had never seen before. Chancellor Vextar found himself alone on his damaged flagship, watching his fleet die around him. In 2 hours, 500 Council warships had been reduced to less than 50 survivors. "This is impossible," he said to no one. "We had superior numbers, superior technology, superior firepower. How are we losing?" General Mordak, badly injured from the railgun strikes, tried to explain. "Chancellor, they don't fight like other species. They use weapons we don't understand, tactics we've never seen, and they can survive accelerations that should kill them. Then we retreat. We'll regroup and attack again with a larger fleet." But retreating was easier said than done. The human ships were faster than the alien ships, and Captain Yoon Bin's stealth squadron was hunting any vessel that tried to escape. "No one leaves," Admiral Han Wu said quietly as he watched alien ships try to run. "Not after what they did to New Busan. Not after they threatened to destroy Earth." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the space around Earth was filled with the wreckage of alien warships. Only a handful of Council ships escaped, and those were badly damaged. Chancellor Vexitar was not among the survivors. His flagship had been destroyed by a coordinated attack from 12 human vessels. The leader who had ordered the execution of 50,000 innocent people was dead. Admiral Han Wu stood on his bridge, looking out at the battlefield. His ship was damaged, but still functional. Around him, his crew was celebrating their victory. "Park." "Mina," he said, "what are our losses?" "Surprisingly light, Admiral. We lost 37 ships total, with about 800 casualties. The enemy lost over 450 ships, 800 human deaths compared to hundreds of thousands of alien deaths. It was the most decisive victory in human military history. Send a message to all human colonies," Admiral Han Wu ordered. "Tell them that Earth is safe. Tell them that the punishment fleet has been destroyed. Tell them that the galaxy now knows what happens when you—" Commander Oh Sung's pirate fleet moved through space like hunting wolves. 3 months had passed since the destruction of the punishment fleet at Earth. Now humanity was taking the war to the enemy. Oh Sung commanded 50 fast attack ships, filled with former pirates, smugglers, and other people who knew how to fight dirty. His mission was simple: find Council leaders and kill them. "Target approaching," reported his sensor operator from the bridge of the Wild Star. "One Council command ship, heavy escort, heading for the Proxima system." Oh Sung studied the tactical display. The alien ship was huge, probably carrying a Council admiral or general. It was protected by 20 escort vessels, but Oh Sung had faced worse odds before. "All ships, this is Commander Oh Sung. Remember the plan. Hit fast, hit hard, and get out before reinforcements arrive." His fleet split into small groups and approached the alien convoy from different angles. The Council ships detected them when they got close, but by then it was too late. Oh Sung's ships used the new human tactics that had won the battle at Earth. They accelerated beyond what should have been possible, moved in patterns that confused. Alien targeting systems, and struck with weapons the Council had never learned to defend against. The escort ships died quickly. They were designed to fight other aliens who followed predictable attack patterns. Human pirates fought like chaos itself, appearing and disappearing, striking from unexpected directions. The command ship tried to run, but human ships were faster now. Oh Sung's flagship caught up to it and fired a full spread of smart missiles into its engines. "This is Commander Oh Sung of the Earth Defense Force," he broadcast to the damaged alien ship. "Surrender now, and you will be treated according to human military law." The alien captain's reply came back full of anger and fear. "We do not surrender." "To primitives," Oh Sung shrugged. "Your choice." The Wild Star fired again, and the Council command ship exploded. Another alien leader was dead, another step closer to justice for New Busan. While Oh Sung hunted alien commanders in space, General Choi Dae was doing the same thing on the ground. His marine units had landed on 12 different Council worlds, targeting military bases and command centers. General Choi Dae stood in the ruins of what had been the Council's main military academy on Kepler Prime. His soldiers had captured it in less than 6 hours, killing or capturing every alien officer inside. "Sir," reported Colonel Park Young. "We've secured all the important files. The aliens kept detailed records of their military operations, including the massacre at New Busan." General Choi Dae looked at the files. They showed that the New Busan executions had been planned for months. The Council had chosen that colony specifically because it was peaceful and defenseless. They wanted to kill innocent people to make their message more terrifying. "Good," he said, thinking about his daughter who died in that massacre. "Make sure these files get back to Earth. The galaxy needs to know what kind of monsters we're fighting." Marine operations were succeeding beyond anyone's expectations. Human soldiers were proving superior to alien warriors in almost every way. They were stronger, faster, more adaptable, and much more determined. But the most important advantage was psychological. Alien soldiers had never faced an enemy that refused to give up. Most species surrendered when the odds turned against them. Humans fought harder when things looked hopeless. Dr. Nam Su was studying the results of these ground battles from his laboratory on Earth. The data showed something remarkable about human military capabilities. "Admiral Han Wu," he reported. "During their weekly meeting, our forces are winning every single engagement, both in space and on the ground. The alien species that make up the Council are simply not as good at warfare as humans are." Admiral Han Wu looked at the battle reports. Hundreds of small actions, all successful. "How is that possible, Doctor? These species have been fighting wars for millions of years." "That's exactly the problem," Dr. Nam Su explained. "They've been fighting the same kinds of wars against the same kinds of enemies for millions of years. They never had to adapt or evolve their tactics." He brought up comparative data on human and alien military history. "Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've developed every possible way to win battles because we needed to survive against other humans. Other species only fought weaker enemies who surrendered quickly. So we're better at war because we've had more practice, much more practice, and against much better opponents. A human soldier has to be ready to fight other humans who are just as smart and determined as he is. An alien soldier only had to fight weaker species who gave up easily." Dr. Nam Su showed Admiral Han Wu footage from recent ground battles. "Look at this engagement on Rigel 4. The alien defenders outnumbered our Marines 3-1, had better weapons, and were fighting from prepared positions. They should have won easily." The footage showed human Marines using tactics that completely confused the alien defenders. They attacked from multiple directions at once, used the environment to their advantage, and adapted their strategy in real time as the battle changed. "The aliens couldn't handle it," Dr. Nam Su continued. "They were trained to fight in formation with energy shields and plasma weapons. When humans attacked with explosives and kinetic weapons from unexpected directions, the aliens panicked and broke. Meanwhile, Kim Jae was working on new weapons that would make human forces even more effective. His latest creation was a new type of warship designed specifically to hunt Council vessels. The Retribution-class ships were smaller than traditional battleships, but much faster and more heavily armed. They used human advantages in metallurgy and engineering to create vessels that could outfight anything the Council had. "Test firing is ready," Kim Jae announced, as the first Retribution-class ship, the Vengeance, prepared for its first combat trial. The test target was a captured Council heavy cruiser. The alien ship was 3 times the size of the Vengeance and had much thicker armor. The Vengeance approached at maximum speed, using its Fury drive to accelerate beyond what alien ships could match. It fired a new type of weapon Kim Jae called penetrator rounds, solid metal projectiles designed to punch through any armor. The rounds struck the alien cruiser and went completely through it, creating holes from one side to the other. The much larger alien ship broke apart and exploded. Perfect, Kim J said with satisfaction. Now we build 100 more just like it. President Lee Yuna was coordinating the overall war effort from Earth. Reports came in daily from across the galaxy, and they were all good news. Human forces were winning everywhere they fought, but she also knew that the Council would eventually adapt to human tactics. The war was going well now, but it might not stay that way forever. Dr. Park So-young, she said during a strategy meeting, "How are our intelligence operations proceeding?" Dr. Park So-young was now coordinating Earth's spy networks throughout Council space. "Very well, Madam President. The aliens never developed good counterintelligence techniques because they never faced enemies who use spies effectively." She activated a star map showing human intelligence assets across the galaxy. "We have agents on most Council worlds now, and they're gathering excellent information about enemy plans and capabilities." "What have they learned?" "The Council is starting to panic. They've never lost so many battles to a single enemy species. Some Council members are talking about negotiating with us instead of continuing to fight." President Lee Yuna smiled. This was exactly what she had hoped to hear. "And what about the hardliners who want to keep fighting?" "They're having trouble convincing other species to send more ships. Everyone has heard about what happened to the punishment fleet. They know that fighting humans means losing most of your navy." Captain Yoon Bin was leading one of the most successful human operations. His stealth squadron had destroyed over 100 Council ships in the past month, and the aliens still didn't know how to detect his cloaked vessels. "Ghost leader to all ghost ships," he broadcast on the squadron's secure channel. "We have a priority target in the Alpha Centauri system. Council Admiral Korvath is meeting with other alien leaders to plan their next move against us." The stealth. Ships moved toward their target like invisible death. Admiral Korvath was one of the aliens who had planned the New Busan massacre. Now he would pay for that crime. The alien meeting was taking place aboard a massive space station protected by 50 warships. It should have been perfectly safe from any human attack, but the aliens couldn't protect against enemies they couldn't. "See? Yoon Bin's ships approach the station from all sides, their cloaking systems making them completely invisible. All ships prepare for synchronized attack. We hit the command center first, then the escorts. No survivors." 12 stealth ships fired at exactly the same moment. Smart missiles and penetrator rounds struck the space station from every direction. The command center, where Admiral Korvath was meeting with other Council leaders, exploded in the first seconds of the attack. The escort ships tried to fight back, but they were firing at targets they couldn't see. Yoon Bin's squadron destroyed them one by one, then disappeared back into space before reinforcements could arrive. Another Council leader was dead. Another step toward justice for the innocent people killed at New Busan. The Council's capital world of Nexus Prime had never been attacked in its 5-million-year history. The planet was protected by the most advanced defense systems in the galaxy and surrounded by 300 of the Council's best warships. President Lee Yuna stood on the bridge of her flagship, the New Busan, as the human fleet approached the heavily defended system. She had insisted on coming personally for this final battle. The people responsible for murdering 50,000 humans were on that planet, and she wanted to look them in the eyes when they faced justice. "Madam President," said Ambassador Kang Hyun, "the Council has agreed to meet with us. They're sending a delegation to negotiate." Lee Yuna studied the tactical displays showing the massive alien defenses. Admiral Han Wu's entire fleet was positioned throughout the system, ready for battle if negotiations failed. "What are they offering?" she asked. "Complete withdrawal from all human colonies, formal recognition of human sovereignty, and payment." of war reparations. They want to end this conflict. And justice for New Busan? Ambassador Kang Hyun looked uncomfortable. They're offering to put some minor officials on trial, but they refuse to surrender the actual decision-makers. They say it would be too destabilizing to their government. President Lee Yuna felt cold anger rising in her chest. Even now, facing defeat, the council still thought they could bargain their way out of facing real consequences. "Tell them the terms are non-negotiable," she said. "Everyone responsible for New Busan stands trial, starting with whoever replaced Chancellor Vextar as leader." The new council leader was someone called Supreme Administrator Yulvox. Intelligence reports said he was even more arrogant than Vextar had been, if that was possible. 2 hours later, the council delegation arrived at the meeting point. A neutral space station in the outer system. President Lee Yuna brought Admiral Han Wu and General Choi Dae with her. She wanted the council to see the faces of the people they had made into enemies. The council chamber was designed to intimidate visitors, but Lee Yuna had seen it before through Ambassador Kang Hyun's previous visits. She walked in calmly and took her seat across from Supreme Administrator Yulvox. Yulvox was even more alien-looking than Vextar had been. His species resembled giant spiders with metallic skin and multiple eyes. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. "Human President," Yulvox said, "you have proven that your species is more dangerous than we assumed. We are prepared to offer generous terms for peace." "I've heard your terms," Lee Yuna replied. "They're not acceptable." "Then what do you want?" Lee Yuna activated a holographic display showing footage from the New Busan massacre. The images of dying children filled the chamber. "I want the people who ordered this atrocity to face trial for their crimes. I want them to answer for every single death. I want justice." Supreme Administrator Yulvox's multiple eyes focused on the display, then shifted back to Lee Yuna. Those individuals were acting within their legal authority. The Galactic Council has the right to enforce its laws. By murdering children. By maintaining order. Your species was warned repeatedly to avoid certain systems. You chose to ignore those warnings. General Choi Dae leaned forward. His face was hard as stone. "My daughter was on New Busan. She was a teacher. She never hurt anyone in her life. You killed her because she taught alien children how to read human books." "Regrettable, but necessary," Yulvox replied without emotion. "Examples must be made." That was the wrong thing to say. President Lee Yuna had been willing to consider compromise, but those 4 words ended any possibility of a peaceful solution. "Then let me make an example," she said, standing up from her chair. "Admiral Han Wu, General Choi Dae, we're leaving." "The negotiations are over." Supreme Administrator Yulvox seemed surprised. "You would choose war over reasonable compromise? You call the murder of 50,000 innocent people regrettable but necessary. You refuse to surrender the criminals, responsible. You offer us nothing but the same arrogance that started this war." Lee Yuna moved toward the exit, then stopped and turned back to face the alien leader. "I came here hoping we could end this conflict with words instead of weapons. You've convinced me that words won't work. Some lessons can only be taught with force." The human delegation left the station and returned to their fleet. Within minutes, Admiral Han Wu was issuing orders to his commanders throughout the system. "All units, this is Admiral Han Wu. Negotiations have failed. The Council refuses to surrender war criminals for trial. We are now implementing the final phase of Operation Justice." Park Mina coordinated the attack from the flagship's tactical center. The human fleet had been planning this assault for months, using intelligence gathered by Dr. Park So-young's spy networks. "Admiral," Park Mina reported, "all units are in position. Captain Yoon Bin's stealth squadron has penetrated the inner defense perimeter. Commander Oh Sung's fast attack groups are ready to strike the orbital platforms." Admiral. Han Wu looked at the tactical display showing Nexus Prime's defenses. It was the most heavily protected planet in the galaxy. But humans had learned something important during this war. There was no defense that couldn't be overcome with enough determination and the right tactics. Begin the attack. Show them what happens when you murder human children and call it regrettable, but necessary. The battle for Nexus Prime began with Captain Yoon Bin's stealth ships attacking the planet's orbital defense platforms. The platforms were massive structures that could destroy entire fleets with their energy weapons, but they couldn't shoot at enemies they couldn't see. Yoon Bin's cloaked ships approached the platforms and fired penetrator rounds directly into their power cores. One by one, the mighty defense platforms went dark. Commander Oh Sung led his fast attack squadrons against the Council fleet. His ships used their superior speed and maneuverability to dance between the alien vessels, striking at weak points and disappearing before the enemies could respond. The Council ships were powerful, but they were designed to fight predictable enemies. Human tactics remained as chaotic and unpredictable as ever. Kim Jae's new Retribution-class ships proved their worth in the battle. The Vengeance, Justice, and Fury tore through alien formations like knives through cloth. Their weapons could penetrate any armor, and their speed made them nearly impossible to hit. General Choi Dae launched ground assault units toward the planet's surface. His Marines had one mission: capture the Council leadership alive for trial. "Remember," he told his commanders, "we want prisoners, not corpses. These war criminals will face justice in a human court." The ground assault was swift and precise. Human Marines had learned to fight in ways that completely overwhelmed alien defenders. They moved faster, fought harder, and refused to give up even when outnumbered. Within 6 hours, human forces had secured the Council's government complex and captured most of the leadership. Supreme Administrator Yulvox was found hiding in a bunker deep beneath the capital city. President Lee Yuna personally went down to the planet to take custody of the prisoners. She wanted to look at the aliens who had ordered the New Busan massacre. Supreme Administrator Yulvox was brought before her in chains. His multiple eyes looked around frantically as if he couldn't believe what was happening. "This is impossible," he said. "We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled this galaxy for millions of years. You cannot do this to us." "We can, and we have," Lee Yuna replied. "You are now prisoners of the Earth Defense Force. You will be taken to Earth to stand trial for crimes against humanity. You primitives have no right to judge us. We are your superiors in every way." President Lee Yuna looked at the alien leader with disgust. Even defeated and captured, he still believed he was better than humans. "If you're so superior," she said, "then how did a species you call primitive destroy your fleets, capture your capital, and take you prisoner?" Yulvox had no answer for that question. Dr. Nam Su was working with human intelligence teams to examine captured Council records. What they found was even worse than anyone had imagined. "President Lee Yuna," he reported, "the Council's crimes go far beyond New Busan. They've been systematically exterminating or enslaving young species for millions of years. We've found records of over 200 genocides." The files showed the true scope of Council brutality. Entire civilizations wiped out for the crime of being too independent. Billions of sentient beings killed or enslaved to maintain the Council's power. How many species are still under Council control? Lee Yuna asked. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Most of them don't even know that resistance is possible. The Council has convinced them that submission is the only way to survive. Lee Yuna made a decision that would reshape the galaxy. Send messages to every oppressed species. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that the Council can be defeated. Tell them that humanity will help anyone who wants to be free. Admiral Han Wu coordinated the liberation efforts from his flagship. Human fleets were already moving toward Council worlds where enslaved species were kept in labor camps. Admiral, Park Mina reported, we're getting responses from 17 different species. They're asking for our help to overthrow their Council overseers. Then we'll help them, Admiral Han Wu said. The war isn't over until every species in the galaxy is free to choose its own destiny. 5 years after the fall of the Galactic Council, Kim Jae stood in the observation deck of New Hope Station, watching ships from dozens of different species dock at the massive structure. The station floated in the space where New Busan used to be, but instead of a farming colony, it was now the center of galactic civilization. Kim Jae was no longer building weapons. His latest project was a communication network that would connect every free world in the galaxy. The network used human technology combined with the best ideas from liberated species. The final relay station is online, reported his assistant, a young alien engineer from the Cathera species. The Cathera had been slaves of the Council for 3,000 years before human forces freed them. Perfect, Kim Jae said, watching the display as the network came to life. Now, every species in the galaxy can talk to each other instantly. No more isolation, no more fear of the unknown. President Lee Yuna had been re-elected twice since the war ended. She now served as the first president of the Galactic Federation, a position she had never wanted but accepted because someone needed to help rebuild civilization. Her office was in the New Hope Station, and she could look out her window at the memorial garden where 50,000 flowers grew. Each flower represented one of the people who died in the New Busan massacre. The garden was beautiful, but it was also a reminder of why the war had been necessary. "Madam President," said her secretary, "the Zephyrian delegation is here for their membership interview." The Zephyrians were a bird-like species that had recently freed themselves from Council control with human help. Like many liberated species, they wanted to join the Galactic Federation. "Send them in," Lee Yuna said. The Federation was different from the old Council in every important way. Membership was voluntary. Every species had an equal vote. No one could be forced to follow laws they didn't agree with. It was messy and sometimes slow, but it was fair. The Zephyrian ambassador was a graceful creature with silver feathers and large, intelligent eyes. "President Lee Yuna," she said in perfect English, "my people wish to thank humanity once again for helping us achieve freedom." "You freed yourselves," Lee Yuna replied. "We just provided some weapons and advice, and training, and ships, and medical supplies and food during the transition period," the ambassador added with what might have been a smile. "Humans are very generous for a species that claims to only provide some help." Lee Yuna laughed. It was true that humans had a habit of understating their contributions to galactic peace. Earth's factories worked around the clock to build infrastructure for newly free worlds. Human engineers taught alien species how to maintain their own technology. Human doctors provided medical care to species whose own healers had been killed by the Council. "The Federation Council will vote on Zephyrian membership next week," Lee Yuna said. I expect the vote to be unanimous in favor. Admiral Han Wu had retired from active military duty, but he remained busy. His new job was running the Galactic Defense Academy, where officers from dozens of species learned to work together. The academy was built on principles that would have shocked the old council. Instead of teaching species to fear and compete with each other, it taught them to cooperate and defend each other. Today we will study the Battle of Kepler Station, Admiral Han Wu told a class of mixed species cadets. Can anyone tell me why the human fleet was successful against superior numbers? A young Kithara officer raised her hand. Because humans used tactics the council had never seen before. Partly correct. What else? A Zephyrian cadet spoke up. Because humans were willing to take risks that other species thought were impossible? Also correct. But what was the most important factor? The class was quiet for a moment. Then a human cadet from Mars Colony raised his hand. Because we were fighting for something we believed in. The council was fighting to maintain their power. We were fighting to protect our families. Admiral Han Wu nodded. Exactly. Technology and tactics are important, but they mean nothing without the will to use them. The council had better ships and weapons, but they didn't have better reasons to fight. He activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Green dots marked free worlds that were members of the Federation. Yellow dots showed worlds that were still transitioning to freedom. Red dots marked a few remaining council strongholds. Your generation will finish the job we started, Admiral Han Wu told the cadets. Not through conquest, but through example. Show the galaxy that cooperation is stronger than domination. Show them that diversity is stronger than uniformity. General, Choi Day had also found new purpose after the war. He now commanded the Federation Peacekeeping Force, which helped resolve conflicts between species without violence. His latest mission was mediating a dispute between two recently freed species over mining rights to an asteroid field. Both groups had been slaves of the Council for centuries, and they didn't trust each other. Gentlemen, General Choi Day said to the two delegations, you spent thousands of years as prisoners of the same enemy. Now you want to fight each other over rocks in space? The leader of the Thorian delegation, a reptilian humanoid, hissed in frustration. The Valdari claim rights to asteroids that have been in Thorian space for generations. Those asteroids were never yours, replied the Valdari representative, a being that looked like a walking crystal formation. The council assigned them to you arbitrarily. We have older claims. General Choi Day had seen this pattern before. Species that had been oppressed for so long sometimes turned their anger on each other instead of working together. Let me tell you something, he said. 5 years ago, my daughter was murdered by the council along with 49,999 other innocent people. I could have spent the rest of my life hating every alien species in the galaxy. Both delegates became quiet. Instead, I chose to honor my daughter's memory by helping build a galaxy where children of all species can grow up free. She would be disappointed in me if I let her sacrifice be wasted on petty disputes over mining rights. The Thorian leader looked uncomfortable. General Choi Day, we meant no disrespect to your daughter's memory. Then prove it. Work together. Share the asteroid field. Use the profits to build schools and hospitals instead of weapons. Show the galaxy that free species can solve problems without fighting. Within a week, the two species had signed a cooperative agreement. It was one of hundreds of similar successes across the galaxy. Dr. Park So-young was now Director of Galactic Sciences for the Federation. Her job was coordinating research projects between different species, combining their knowledge to solve problems that no one could handle alone. Her latest project was ambitious even by human standards, a deep space exploration mission to contact civilizations in other galaxies. The long-range sensors are picking up structured signals from the Andromeda Galaxy, she reported to President Lee Yuna during their monthly science briefing. The patterns suggest intelligent origin. How long would it take to send a mission there? With our current technology, about 50 years each way. But if we combine human engineering with Zephyrian energy systems and Cathera navigation techniques, we might reduce that to 20 years. President Lee Yuna smiled. Do it. The galaxy is finally at peace. It's time to see what's waiting for us among the stars. Commander Oh Sung had gone back to his old job, but with a difference. His ships still operated in the outer regions of space, but now they were protecting trade routes instead of attacking them. "Commander," reported one of his captains, "we've got a distress signal from a civilian transport. Pirates are attacking them near the Vega system." "Pirates?" Oh Shung laughed. "Don't they know that attacking civilians in Federation space is a very bad idea?" His fleet moved to intercept the attackers. But when they arrived at the scene, Oh Sung was surprised to find that the pirates were humans. "This is Commander Oh Sung of the Federation Patrol," he broadcast to the attacking ships. "Stand down immediately and prepare to be boarded." The reply came back full of defiance. "We don't recognize Federation authority. Earth sold out to the aliens." Oh Sung sighed. There were still some humans who couldn't accept that the galaxy had changed. They thought any cooperation with alien species was betrayal. "Listen carefully," Oh Sung said. "I used to be a pirate, too. I robbed ships and fought authority because I thought that was the only way to stay free. Then I learned something important." He moved his ship closer to the pirates. "Real freedom isn't about taking what you want from weaker people. Real freedom is about building something better for everyone. The aliens on that transport aren't your enemies. They're people trying to make honest livings just like you used to be." There was a long silence. Then the pirate leader responded, "What are you offering?" "Jobs. The Federation needs experienced spacers to help patrol the trade routes and protect civilians. Same excitement, same independence, but you're helping people instead of hurting them." Most of the pirates surrendered and joined Oh Sung's patrol fleet. The few who refused were captured and sent to rehabilitation programs that helped them find new purposes in the peaceful galaxy.